What's that sound? Where? It's aliens and they're living in your town. Damn. They have arrived. What? They're all around. So many aliens living in your town. Are you scared of
Hello, weirdos. We are broadcasting live from the weirdest place on earth.
Oh, yeah.
My townhouse. Denny's, how the hell are you doing?
Doing well, man. I'm really happy with how this all turned out.
We are doing a test run with the studio. Where this is not an official podcast, but just kind of one that we're kind of milling around, feeling it out.
Yeah, this is kind of a test run just to make sure our equipment is functioning properly. We had a whole setup process and everything, and now it's kind of just like beta.
So we had to cancel the Weird Whatever podcast this week. Unfortunately, if you don't know, my Aunt Ann had passed away Sunday morning about, in the 11 a.m. hour, and it's kind of screwed everything up. I do want to say thank you so much to everybody who has reached out to me personally and has sent me emails and comments. It truly means a lot to me and my family. Aunt Ann loved to be recognized out in public. It's so funny. Right before we did this podcast today, we were getting subs at Publix. And while we were in the Publix sub line, so many people came up to us and said, hey, I met Aunt Ann in this Publix.
It was so cool. Yeah, there was a couple of people that had really great stories with her as well. Just the fun they had talking about things you guys talked about on the show.
Yeah, it's so funny. Every Aunt Ann encounter that I get from people who listen to our program, it's always about food.
That's true.
It's
That's true.
so funny. Just like my mom, it was always about food. If you're Italian, and maybe other cultures, love food.
Absolutely.
Other than the Italian culture, who really is talking about lunch at breakfast, dinner at lunch? I mean, us Italians, we do that constantly.
I believe the Spanish community also is very food driven.
Food brings people together, man.
Well, it is. It's sustenance. It's life.
Yes, it really is. And so I'm going to let everybody know on Ann's service, me and Virginia and my family are trying to figure all of that out. Big shout out to Vicious V, man.
For sure.
I was telling my dad yesterday, Virginia, when my mom died, she was at the hospital. They're supporting me. When I gave my kidney to Bigfoot, Virginia was one of the first people I saw coming out of surgery. She was there to support me for that. And when Aunt Ann died, I didn't even know Virginia and Panda and Baby Rocca was going to be there. I was texting Virginia about getting a priest because I didn't even realize when Ann had passed away, it was a very major, big, holy day. You know a little bit about that, Denny's.
Yeah, well,
Or weren't people calling in telling you about that?
So we got a lot of calls saying the significance, actually, of this entire week up until, obviously Passover and Easter. So, and I guess in the Catholic, this whole week is a positive week, I guess, in there, at least what people were saying.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Sunday, when my Aunt Ann passed away, it was Passover Sunday, and it was in the middle of Mass. And the fact that we had a priest come to give her last rites really is kind of remarkable. And I give all of the credit to Vicious V and Kevin because I called them, crying and just out of my mind. I said, guys, Ann has to pass away, and we're not going to let her pass away until we get her last rites. And they had a priest there in an hour, man. So shout out to them. My family appreciates that, and all of the people have been truly very, very kind. I'm not trying to be pandering. It's the God's honest truth, man. It's nice to see people in your community, whatever community that you're in, reach out and be very, very kind.
Yeah, well, I mean, she was loved here. I mean, you can tell by the amount of people that wrote in. We try to get back to every single person. I think we did.
Well, I was telling my dad last night, my Aunt Ann, she was on the KVJ show for 10 years.
Yeah.
Compared to my mom was on there for 6. So Ann almost doubled what was on my, with my mom. And nobody could fill my mom's shoes, and somehow Ann did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not easy to do.
Absolutely. I met you. I've known Ann since 2009, I believe. And I met you right after your mom passed away. So
So is that when me and you met? We were not friends when my mom was alive.
no.
People always ask me, when did you and Denny's meet? How did you and Denny's meet? Denny's was doing, so you were kind of producing people locally at
Yes.
Swampgrass Willie's, a bar.
Yeah.
It's a bar / recording studio.
Yeah, and just through the community, I met Klepto. Funny enough,
Snack pack.
and through Klepto, we met as well as you came into the studio to record a song. Actually, you came in to record a song it was not necessarily like a radio song. It was one of your personal songs.
Got ya.
And you came into the studio, and I was the engineer that worked with you, and we kind of hit it off. But weirdly, I was living with Klepto. And I believe you came by and you're like, oh my God, like it was just like so random that we like crossed paths in like a personal setting.
The first song me and you recorded was about my ex-fiance. I was
Yes.
engaged at one point, and I swear to shit, we were doing a stunt today at work, and she was at the gas station driving this truck. I go, Denny's, that's my ex-fiance right
Yeah.
there. That was so bizarre.
Absolutely.
Holy shit. I haven't seen her in 17 years, man.
It's so funny, and it brought us to like the topic. That was the song we were working on.
That's how me and you met.
That's so random that like today and all of that just lined up.
So this is basically a test run. That's why we don't have Ryan Beckett here. That's why we don't have Vicky here. We wanted to make sure the sound was all right and you guys can hear us. You guys can see us. We're gonna have a roaming camera. We've got airplanes in the on the ceiling. There's so many toys here, Denny's.
Yeah. So let us know what you guys think about the backgrounds, because I
Do-
think they look awesome.
Do we need more light? Do we need more, less sound? But ultimately, this is going to be a good thing, not only for the Weird Whatever podcast, but for the KVJ show as well.
Yeah, actually, I think we're gonna do outside of the Weird and Whatever podcast, just anything if we just feel like cracking mics and chatting.
Yeah.
It can be something. It's like a public forum, I guess.
I mean, me and Denny's get into our deepest conversations about 3 p.m. and because we wake up super early.
Yes.
So that is, for most people, that's their 6 or 7 p.m.
For
So
sure.
that's our 6 or 7 p.m. And we, like to partake and just relaxing.
Absolutely.
And that's when we have our best conversations.
Well, this, amazingly, not even that long ago, was a living room,
Yeah.
and it's been converted into a studio.
And what we want to do, we want to start a whole faction of weirdos, the people who really like our podcast and who believe in our podcast. You guys are family now, and I want to start filling this room up with people, studio audience style.
Yeah, yeah.
How cool would that be?
It would be. You can't see it behind the scenes, but
We don't have to do any kind of bullshit at work. We can do whatever we want here. I love that.
yeah, it's a much more intimate setting, and it's kind of cool. In the future, on the camera, you'll see over across the table will be a Vicky and Beckett.
Well, listen to this audience out there. Hey, audience, how's it going out there, audience? That's my dad. My dad's out there.
And Chewy.
My dad and Chewy are out there, and I'm pretty sure, Dad, did you just fall asleep during our podcast? What? What? You did?
He did.
Are we that boring?
No, I was up for 3 nights in a row. I only got 5 hours sleep a night.
Shit, Dad, you're not selling the product well. I have a question for you, Denny's. Talking
right.
about Chewy and all that. Do you think? Oh my gosh, I just literally kicked off my headphones. We're having a couple of drinks before the test run. Do you think animals have an ego?
We've touched upon this in the past, and I think they have to have an ego, right? Because what about males when they're trying to establish dominance?
Because dogs always try to have sex with other dogs, and I've always heard that's them
Establishing
trying to
dominance.
establish who's the guy that's in charge.
Yeah, I think everything that lives must have some sort of ego.
Okay, so I'm sure there's some species out there that where the woman takes charge sexually.
Oh, absolutely.
But is this a more male dominant thing where the male, and I'm only talking animal style here.
Yeah.
Do the majority of the animals out there, are the males the one that dictates when sex is going on and how it's going down? My dad's shaking his head. Dad, Randy, give me your thoughts here.
Well, I just remember,
It's,
I
the
remember
microphone.
our cat.
What's that? Speak to the microphone.
Yeah, I remember our cat at 9875 when she'd be.
Dad, don't give the address out.
Oh.
I wonder where I get it from. Dad's giving a address.
So anyhow, the other house we used to live at, our cat we had for 17 years. She was in heat for so many years, and it had like 3 or 4 litters. And when she'd get in heat, she'd be out there at nighttime, like trolling a little bit, you know,
Looking
like,
for a little
crying, and finally a tomcat would show up, and she would have.
But did the tomcat initiate it, or her? She was like,
She was
I need it,
initiated, yeah.
I want it.
Yeah, she was yeah. Our cat was a little loose. You know?
Our cat was really Denny's. Our cat was getting stuffed left and right,
Yeah.
man. And, I mean, our cat
She had like 4 litters or something.
from 4 different men.
But when she'd be out in the driveway and crying and stuff, and then all at once.
And that's just the guys that got her pregnant. I mean, there was a couple other alley cats that came around, didn't fertilize her, but oh yeah, no, they banged.
That's crazy, man.
Good commentary.
Yeah. No, cats in heat and whatnot.
If you found out a surgeon was making jokes and kind of doing like a Benihana, comedy act, you know how they do the stir fry and they got a thing going.
Yeah.
He's making the people in the ER or the OR or the operating room laugh. He nails or she nails the job, but it's kind of at your expense. Do you give a shit if that video leaks out and the doctor's like, oh, look at this guy's liver. Oh man, last time I saw a liver like that, it was 1900. Whatever
Like
the
he pulls
joke.
it out, and he's like slapping it.
Yeah, but the job is still done, and she or he gets it done. Are you offended? Do you give a shit that he's making his team laugh? Maybe that's his process. Maybe that's her process.
I mean, that's
I know it's
like an ethics question.
I guess, but is it though? I mean, do you care?
I mean, if I'm out and they fix me, I mean, I guess I'd be kind of bummed out if they were like, drawing on me and stuff or something.
Not drawing on you. It's not a frat house, Denny's.
I hear you.
They're not drawing a dick
What
on
if
your
they're
face.
like, yeah? What if they're waggling my dick around, like and making jokes?
There's no dick waggling.
All right, well then I'm
It's-
cool.
it's-
Yeah, well, there's definitely professions I've never looked into, just because I just don't have the drive for the trade, man. Like, there's a lot of stuff. I would never want to be a doctor. I would never want to be in our situation. We plug in wires, and then we kind of just like
Go back to our little fluffy world.
It's chaperone, it's just making sure it runs right, you
Yeah.
know, as far as like engineering and stuff. So like, I like all that. Nobody dies if I mess up. There's no like real,
Yeah, no, you're right, man. I mean, there's some professions out there. One
air
wrong
traffic controller.
Well, one wrong emotional move that you make. Let's say you're having an off day. You don't sleep your 8 hours, and your girl just broke up with you, or your guy just broke up with you, and you are distraught. I mean, everybody's human. We're all gonna mess up. At that level, when you mess up, you're messing up, and it's life or death.
Oh, you're hurting
shit.
people, yeah.
Yeah.
Or so think about how many days you go to work that you're like, I feel like shit. And then you somehow get through the day. You mug through it. Imagine having like actual like heavy ass responsibility, like of somebody's life, of somebody's like job, somebody's like legal team. Like there's so many things. Like imagine you're a lawyer. You're supposed to go in and fight for somebody, and you just got the worst news ever. You're like in there, like like
Oh, yeah.
half-heartedly selling this story.
Your guy has just screwed your best friend, and you have to go in there and be passionate and defend. I mean, you got to turn that shit on, or turn that shit off. However you look at it.
And depending on how you lawyer, whether you can, flip it to even if you disagree with who you're defending and you're still defending them.
Do you think it's DNA? People that are able to take tragic situations and they get mad or jealous. And when I say tragic situations, I'm going on a full range of events, whether it's you got fired from a job, you lost a loved one, you found your lover cheating on you. Some people are able to take that kind of anger, that kind of fuel, and turn it into something so awesomely positive. And then some people absolutely fall the fuck apart. Is that DNA? Is that upbringing? Or is that a combination of both?
Yeah.
Or option D, you have no idea.
None of the above.
Yes.
It's hard to say. I think it could be all of them. But yeah, some people, if you run hotter, if you're an angry person and you run hot and you get physical with people, then yeah, you're gonna handle things differently.
Is that DNA though?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's got to do with DNA, and I think a lot of it, so if you run hot and you don't have a troubled childhood, you're probably not going to be as hot as you could be. Now, if you couple that with a troubled, so there's where your conundrum comes in. It's like some of it is from upbringing, and some of it is from your genetics. Unfortunately, I think some people are more predisposed.
So I loved the Bigfoot as a kid. Chewbacca was, growing up, my favorite Star Wars character other than Lando. I loved Lando Calrissian. I always thought Lando from Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi,
cool.
He always got a bad rap. Not to go on a dorky Star Wars rant, this guy is crushing it at Cloud City. He's got his own gig going.
Totally.
He's made it.
He's doing his thing.
He's running shit. Lando is running shit. Now you've got this fuckface Han Solo and this terrible amount of drama following Han Solo with the Empire, who can literally kill you and shut you down.
Oh, yeah.
And people are going to get on Lando for betraying Han when Han brought all that bullshit to Lando when Lando's just doing his shit. Fuck Han.
Totally.
All right. That's my rant. I'm done. All right.
Yeah, that'd be like somebody coming up you haven't seen in years, knocking on the door, and then just home wrecking your shit.
Just blowing it all.
And then get the rap for it.
I love Lando, man. That's why I love Lando. But yeah, Chewbacca was huge. I loved the creature. I loved monsters growing up.
Yeah. So I latched on to monsters as well.
Is magic real in your opinion? You are the.
I do not think magic.
You're the skeptic. You really are.
There's nothing more I would love than magic to be real.
Ryan Beckett gets pegged with being the skeptic, but you are the legit skeptic.
Well, magic's rough, man. There's nothing more I would love than magic.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I want people to walk on water. I want people to.
Or, even...
I want people to bring out a flower. Like, I want all that stuff. Not to say that Jesus walking on water is magic. I'm just saying I want to see humans today walk on water. I want to see magic shit like that.
Totally. Yeah. There's nothing more I would love.
There's one dude that claims that he walks on water. He's a liar, but I want that to be real. You know what I mean? I want that magic thing.
Oh, nothing would make me happier. I think it would be the greatest thing. It would help everyone. It would make everything better. It
would make.
It's also too powerful, so it's kind of nice that we don't have it.
But don't you think though, if we had just one moment of magic happen, worldwide, that would change shit. And I'm talking maybe alien.
Yeah.
Jesus coming down, walking on water. Whatever your magic moment is. That would change people's perspective on things? Or do you think an event like that could happen? Something so ridiculously magical and mystic, and a lot of people are going to go, holy shit, that was amazing. And people are still going to question it?
Oh, absolutely. It's like the 80-20. I mean...
80-20.
Unfortunately, 20% are just never, ever going to ever budge.
That. Not to be depressing about it, there's that whole technique, die while you're alive. It's a meditation technique.
Practicing death.
Well... yeah, I do it sometimes. Death was a big issue for me growing up. I remember my mom explaining what a skeleton was, and I didn't know what a skeleton. I thought skeletons were just fun little things that dance at Halloween. And when she explained what a skeleton was, holy shit, little bird had a meltdown. I was like, wait, what happens? Wait, what happens when we die? It was heavy, man.
Yeah.
But with that said, you don't want to be 60 years old and never confronting death. Or confronting the hardest, most heartfelt issues in life, because you're gonna have to eventually deal with that stuff.
Yeah, I think anything you want to be able to handle, you should practice. I think practicing across the board with anything is good.
I mean, do you agree with the concept of dying while you're alive? Do you think that's a good thing?
Yeah. So I think you should think about, not maybe on a daily basis, but like at least acknowledge every now and then that, I mean, every moment is so precious to me, to be cliche.
I mean, life really is so short. I mean, I was talking to you before the podcast saying, all of last week was getting Ann's car fixed.
Yeah.
My Aunt Ann's car fixed. It was, making sure she had her rent paid.
Yep.
It was all the daily,
Yep.
just regular grind. And it's so weird to look into my notes. I was working on a bit with Ann.
Yeah.
For the week she passed away, we were in the middle of working.
We were
on
going to do that video.
Yeah, we're working on a video with her, and it's just so weird how things change on a dime. As depressing as that may sound,
Yeah.
there is there's an optimism to that too.
Absolutely.
Call your loved ones, live for the moment. Don't be so held down on the bullshit the ego tries to bring you down on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just would not let people waste your time. Just don't let it happen. It doesn't need to.
Or just don't let shit that's not gonna. If it's not
That's
gonna,
what I'm saying. Don't sweat.
If it's not gonna matter in a year, do you really need to be worrying about it? You know what I mean? And that's so easy to say from a.
Yeah.
I'm going through a week of introspective because my aunt died, and I'm questioning everything. But if you're not going through that, you're gonna go through your daily grind. You're gonna go through all of the bullshit.
Yeah.
And all I am posing as a question is the stuff that's holding you back with fear, anxiety, depression. There's some things that are worth that. I don't know if a majority of it is. You know what I mean? There's a lot of bullshit that we worry about that's dumb and it's stupid shit.
Absolutely. I think you should definitely in the moment think about it. You can even get mad about it, handle it however you want.
Yeah,
but you should be able to move on from it quickly.
So, yeah, I mean, my whole thing, I know that I had a complete breakdown on Monday's show because it was so raw. But Monday was my day of tears.
Yeah.
Everything else is day of cheers. I want to celebrate Aunt Anne's life. I am an honest, big believer when someone passes, you should celebrate them more than mourn them.
Absolutely.
I get that you should mourn them. That's a natural thing. But don't let the mourn take over so much. That happened to me with my mom. I don't want to let that happen, again.
Yeah.
And I want celebration to take over when it comes to things like death.
Sure.
Hey, Pop, do you feel like the older you get, time speeds up so much? Like, even things that you don't like are speeding by quicker than normal?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that's just because that's just how life's designed? Your perspective has changed, or is it just because maybe something physically changes?
No, I think when you get older, you look back on time and you don't really appreciate it because you're busy and you're working a lot. You're trying to make ends meet and stuff like that. But when you get older and you slow down, you think, man, where did it all go? Because you weren't paying attention and being in the present as much as you are now. When you're older, you're retired or whatever, you're more in the present. You
have more time to think about things.
Yeah.
You're less ego, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. For me, I look back on my life. I look at chapters, like in the beginning. When I was a teenager, chapters, and this is a block of time, and so many people's in it, and the events in it, and all at once that chapter is over, and then you move to another chapter, and then so I look back on my chapters, and it's kind
of like a movie,
yeah,
really. It's like storylines, characters. It's crazy.
Because people change, friends change, and everything changes. Your thinking changes. So then all at once you look back, and it's like almost like a little blur,
Yeah.
A little blur movie.
It was long, but it was quick. It's the ultimate paradox. It really is.
Yeah. Well, so things like I'll think about weirdly is so I'm 35 right now. If I was to have a kid that turned 18 or 20, that's 20 years from now. I would be 55.
That's insane, man.
Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
Like you think about stuff like that. And I was thinking more realistically, like a good age range would be like a 37, But then you think about it, it's like you're going to be like 60 when that kid's like old enough to drink.
I want to get Kevin on the Weird and Whatever podcast.
Yeah.
Because Kevin's got a lot of great stuff about religion that we can delve into. And we love talking religion here at Weird Whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So excited to use the space. I mean, we put a good, how long did it take us on this thing?
I know. This was a great learning process. A couple things have happened in the last couple years. I don't want to keep saying things on the air, and we're going to do it, and then like the Naked Mile run. Now, the Naked Mile run is out of my control, but I've been bringing it up on the air, and then people, throw it back in my face, as well as they should. We haven't done the Naked Mile run. Me and Virginia haven't done our dance off. And I think now that we have all that bullshit can happen now.
Yeah, this is a cool platform just to like we're kind of thinking of like I guess the ability of going live a few times a week, just kind of with like random stuff, anything that off the cuff.
Well, like we talked about, we can have the after the show podcast.
Yeah.
Talk just about some other bullshit. People, if we do it live on YouTube, people can ask us questions and we can answer.
That's why we'll do it live.
Maybe a 10, 15-minute extra thing, but it's just cool to be able to have that ability. And we're
it.
very excited. I do want to end the podcast once again saying, from the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate all of the love and support that the KVJ Nation has given me and my family with Aunt Ann. Aunt Ann was a major part of my family's life and a major part of my own personal life. She was a creative partner when you really think about it, whether she knew it or not. And, was such just a major part of everything. To KVJ Nation too, and all the emails and all the comments have been absolutely just so amazing. I don't want to sound overly sincere or pandering, but I swear to God on everything, it has really kept my spirits up. And the same thing happened with my mom. So I want to thank you, the kind people who listen to our program and have said such wonderful things about myself and my family. Thank you. Denny's, any closing words on our first test run with the Weird and Whatever podcast? I mean, we are in the bird's nest. I think we're calling the bird's nest Sasquatch Recordings. There's so many names for it.
Yeah, and next time we'll have everything up and running. Like everything will be fully functional.
Yeah. This is literally we're
super stripped down.
So we get that it's not full gorilla. We're getting there, bitches. We are getting there. We love you all, and Bigfoot is real.
What was that? What's that sound? It's aliens and they're living in your town. They have arrived. They're all around. So many aliens living in your town. Are you scared of aliens? Well, you should be.